It's time for spelling analysis. Are you ready to apply our new rules in phonogram? The first word is cents. It costs 50 cents. Go ahead and say cents. Let's sound it out. S. Use a k, s, e, n, t, s. Use a s, z. Go ahead and write cents. Sound it out as you write it. Good, and now help me to write it. S, e, n, t, s. All right, now why did the C say its second sound? K, s, s. So why did it say s here? That's right, C always softens to s before an E, I, or Y. Otherwise, it says k. Here it is, it's before an E, so it's softening. And then, why did we add an S? You're right, 1 cent, many cents. To make a noun plural, just add S, unless the word hisses or changes. This word does not hiss and it does not change, so we just added S. Let's read it. Cents. The next word is germs. Wash your hands so that you wash off all the germs. Go ahead and say germs. Let's sound it out. J, use a g, j. Use the of her. Z. That's right, it's a z. Go ahead and write germs. Sounding it out as you write it. And help me to write it. J, z. How will we mark it? What sound of g, j do you hear in germs? It's the second one. And why is it saying its second sound? G may soften to j before an E, I, or Y. There it is before an E, so it's softening to the sound j. And we'll underline the And what sound of z do you hear? The second. And why did we add an S? Once again, to make a noun plural, just add S unless the word hisses or changes. It's not hissing, it's not changing, so we just added S. Let's read it. Germs. The next word is excellent. That was excellent the way you thought through that. Excellent. Go ahead and say excellent. How many syllables in excellent? 3. We will say to spell excel-lent. What will we say to spell? Excel-lent. Let's sound it out. The first syllable is X. X. The second syllable is cell. S. Use a k, s. L. The third syllable is lent. L-E-N-T. Go ahead and write excel-lent. Sounding it out as you write it. That will help you get every phonogram. Excel-lent. And help me to write it. The first syllable is X, X. The second syllable is cell, S, L. The third syllable is lent, L-E-N-T. And why did the C soften to S? C always softens to S before an E, I, or Y. Let's read it. We'll put a 2 over it, and then let's read it. Excellent. Excellent. That was excellent. The next word is gift. He gave me a birthday gift. Go ahead and say gift. Let's sound it out. G-I-F-T. Go ahead and write gift. And help me to write it. G-I-F-T. And let's read it. G-I-F-T. Gift. Hey, why didn't the G soften to J? You're right, G may soften to J. Does it always? Nope. So here it did not soften to J before the I. Rather, it's saying G. The next word is equal. What does 2 plus 2 equal? Equal. Go ahead and say equal. How many syllables? 2. We will say to spell equal. What will we say to spell? Equal. Let's sound it out. The first syllable is E. E. The second syllable is qual. Qua, use an a, ul. Go ahead and write equal. Good. And help me to write it. The first syllable is E. The second syllable is qual, qua, ul. How will we mark it? Put a line over the E. Why did the E say its long sound? A, E, O, U usually say their long sounds at the end of the syllable. We'll underline the qua. And what sound of a, ah do we hear in equal? That's right, it's the broad. And notice it's saying its broad sound before an L. Let's read it. Equal, equal. Excellent. The next word is different. That is a different color. Different. Go ahead and say different. How many syllables in different? 3. We will say to spell different. What will we say to spell? Different. Let's sound it out. The first syllable is diff. D-if. The second syllable is fur. The air of her. The third syllable is ent. E-n-t. Go ahead and write different. Sounding it out as you write it. That is the key. And help me to write it. The first syllable is diff. D-if. The second syllable is fur. The third syllable is ent. E-n-t. And how do we mark it? We'll underline the and let's read it. D-if. E-n-t. Different. Notice if we take this off, we get the word differ. We differ on that idea. It means we don't have the same idea. The next word is event. There will be an event in town. Event. Go ahead and say event. How many syllables? 2. We will say to spell event. What will we say to spell? Event. Let's sound it out. The first syllable is E. The second syllable is vent. V-E-N-T. Go ahead and write event. Good. And help me to write it. The first syllable is E. The second syllable is vent. V-E-N-T. And how do we mark it? Put a line over the E. Let's read it. Oh, why did it say its long sound? A, E, O, U usually say their long sounds at the end of the syllable. Let's read it. Event. Event. The next word is check. Did you check all the boxes? Check. Go ahead and say check. Let's sound it out. Ch-e-k. That's right. It's a 2-letter k. Go ahead and write check. Good. And help me to write it. Ch-e-k. And how do we mark it? We'll underline the ch and the k. Let's read it. Ch-e-k. Check. Notice we use 2-letter k after a single short vowel. The next word is chart. Let's put that up on the chart. Go ahead and say chart. Let's sound it out. Ch-art. Go ahead and write chart. Sounding it out. Help me to write it. Ch-art. How do we mark it? We'll underline the ch and the r. Let's read it. Ch-art. Chart. The next word is dash. He made a mad dash after the chicken. Dash. Go ahead and say dash. Let's sound it out. D-a-sh. Go ahead and write dash. And help me to write it. D-a-sh. How do we mark it? We'll underline the sh. Let's read it. D-a-sh dash. The next word is finish. We will finish soon. Finish. How many syllables in finish? 2. We will say to spell fin-ish. What will we say to spell? Fin-ish. Let's sound it out. The first syllable is fin. F-I-n. The second syllable is ish. Ish. Go ahead and write fin-ish. Good. And help me to write it. First syllable is fin. N. Second syllable is ish. Ish. How will we mark it? We'll underline the sh. Let's read it. Ish. Finish. The next word is fruit. Would you like fruit with your lunch? Fruit. Go ahead and say fruit. And let's sound it out. Oo. This is our new phonogram oo that we may not use at the end of English words. T. Go ahead and write fruit. Good. And help me to write it. Oo. And how do we mark it? We'll underline the oo. Let's sound it out. Fruit. The next word is say. I say, that's a great idea. Say. Go ahead and say. Let's sound it out. A. This is two-letter A that you may use at the end of English words. Go ahead and write say. And now help me to write it. A. And how will we mark it? We'll underline the A. Now, as we learn the next few words, I actually want to look at a few others at the same time. So I'm going to write two more words here, and we'll read them and talk about them. So we have say, pay, lay. What do you notice about each of these words? You're right, they all end in two-letter A that you may use at the end of English words. So the next word we're going to write is says. She says that's a good idea. Go ahead and say says. Now, we are going to say to spell says. What will we say to spell? Says. Let's sound it out. A, two-letter A that you may use at the end of English words. Z. Use a z. Go ahead and write says, sounding it out. And I know it doesn't look quite right, but go ahead and write says. Good, and help me to write it. A, z. And how will we mark it? We'll underline the A, and what sound does z do here? The second. Now, you don't say says, you say says, eh. So this is an exception to this phonogram. As you can imagine, this is a very old word. And so somehow over time, the pronunciation has changed. But let's look a little closer. I say, she says. I pay, she pays. With just the same. Do you see this? I lay, she lays. So, do you see a pattern here? Yes, these verbs all end in A, and then we just add an S. So for morphology reasons, to keep this pattern, and to keep the relationship between say and says, the spelling didn't change over time, even though our pronunciation did. The last word is said. I said, that's a good idea. Said. Now, once again, we are going to say to spell said. Let's say that together. Said. Let's sound it out. A, two-letter A that you may not use at the end of English words. D. Go ahead and write said. Again, sounding it out as you write it. And help me to write it. S-A-D. Now, we'll underline the A, but we don't say said, do we? We say said. Again, that S sound. So this is an exception to the phonograms. But let's look. I say, she says, I said. Here, I pay, she pays, I paid. Look at this. Do you see this pattern? And then I lay, she lays, I laid. So you can see how these are all related in a pattern, and the spelling reflects that, and it also reflects this relationship in meaning between say, says, and said, even though that pronunciation is changed. Once again, English spelling is a balance of sound and meaning, and here we see that balance tipping towards the meaning in these words. I hope this helps you understand a bit more about the logic of English.
Combining the science of reading with the joy of learning. Learn more at essentials.logicoфenglish.com.